So I've gotten to the point where I kind of learned how this thing works. And so I've chosen a character. I've chosen Kalia here. I think there's 7 or 8 different characters to choose from. They start with different items depending upon the class you pick or the character you pick, and then they have a different progression system as well as far as how they'll level up. We'll kind of show some of that a little bit later on, maybe. And then these are my movement slash action tokens. This is how you decide what you're going to do on your turn. We'll show that in a second here too. Tracking my maximum health and current health over here. Slots for all my items. You start with 1 healing potion. Everything else is blank. And you start with these guard tokens. Guard tokens are used to help re-roll either bad rolls for yourself or good rolls the monsters have against you. So the board looks a lot like a Mage Knight kind of board, that you start with this kind of triple, hex sort of thing. And you start inside this church. So the very first thing you have to do, and you have a stack of tiles that you're going to reveal. So some of these tiles are fixed. Some are, so they're kind of different classes of tiles. They've got different symbols on the back side here. And their normal numerals are number 1, and then we have 2, which is chapter 2, and then eventually down to chapter 3. They have 5 chapters worth of tiles. For this first scenario that we're playing called the Hunt, you're only going to do 3 chapters worth of tiles. And then, so at the start of the game, then all you're really going to do is you're going to say, okay, I need to move because I'm starting here in this church. I need to explore this land around me. And so let's say I'm going to go ahead and I want to move. I'm going to spend one of these tokens here. And so these tokens, if you look, they either have a movement or they have an action. And so you have to pick what you want to do. And so you can't mix and match. Like you can't say, oh, I'm going to move 1 and then do this trade action, or I'm going to move 3 and then fight. You're either going to fight or move 3, or mine or move 1, or trade or move 2. At the start of the game, you have no money. This is where my money's going to go. So you might as well use the trade die or the trade token right away and use it for its movement. So I'm not doing the trades. I just say, okay, I'm going to go ahead and do this. And you just take it away to indicate that, actually, I guess that's in the wrong slot here, right? So this is supposed to be like that. So you keep track of what you did and what you didn't, like that. So I use this one. And so I'm going to move 2 because that's what this lets me do. And so normally you're just kind of in one group of hexes. I'm either there, or I'm here, or I'm here. I'm one of these 3 hexes. The exception are these structures. So there's dragon slayer towers, and there's churches. And so these are like kind of special spots. So you actually have to use 1 movement just to leave the church. And it's a teleport gate. I might get some more of these later on, which lets you kind of zip between areas like little warp gates. And because I've got this thing set up the way I do on my table, I've got lots of room to my right. So I'm going to go ahead and move in that direction. So I'm going to move here. So as soon as you move, so I've moved 1. So I still have 1 movement left. And you can actually help keep track of how many movements you have left in case you forget. You say, okay, I've still got 1 movement in case you get busy with other things and you forget what you can want to do with it. I've got 1 movement left, but what I first need to do now is I've gone to an area where I need to put a tile here, 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 and here, because you always have to have, anytime you move to an area where you don't know the edge of the map, you have to reveal it. So you start pulling tiles one by one, and you flip them over, and on the tile, there's a symbol at the bottom. That's what this thing is here. And you always orient that at the bottom. So that's the only part. There's no symbol here, and there's no symbol here on that side. So it has to be this side here. And that one, I'm going to put it here, like this. Okay? So that goes in place there. I still need a tile here, so I grab another one of these tiles, chapter 1 tile, and that one's going to go there. So again, I've aligned that properly, like that. And I still have this area I have to fill in, so I'm going to grab my last tile, and then it goes like this. So you can see how those things line up to where that's now down there. And you notice that there's a little 1 player icon here. That one indicates that it's a startup tile. It's a fixed tile that's designed for solo play. These don't have that because it's a random draw for level 1. So these symbols on here then reveal different things. These are monsters that you have to fight. You have to liberate these regions. Once you fight the monsters there, you don't need to fight them again. You've cleared out the monsters that are there, and you get what a reward. Like that's a healing potion. That's a guard token. This is a It's kind of a weird thing. We'll talk about at some point later on. And then this represents a encounter. So there's some kind of hunter here. You can bring stuff to him, and we have to reveal what he will exchange for stuff. And then here's another monster over here. And then this is a treasure spot where I can go here and just grab some. There's no monster here. It's just you go here and just grab some loot. And there's a monster here. So again, I've moved one to the edge of this particular spot. And now I have to go, I've got one more movement left. And I can choose to either fight this monster here, fight this monster here, find out what this encounter is. I think I actually reveal what this counter is now. Or I can go over here. Or I could go back. I think probably what I need to do is I'll need to reveal this one to figure out what this encounter is. And then I might go and fight this thing. But that gives you a very broad kind of overview of how it works. In the next video, we'll kind of look at how a combat works. Because that's probably what the next thing that I would do would be.